everybody. How y'all doing this morning? Today is Wednesday. I'm off today and I have a chance to tell my story. As you can see, yes, I have three boys, two young men and one little guy. And they have different fathers. Did I intend for my life to be this way? No. I don't think no woman intends it to be this way. I haven't met any, but this is what it is. So I'm coming to you on a perspective of a single mother who has already raised two young men, and I have a little guy. First off, this is a sensitive subject for me, so I'm coming to you as authentic as possible. I am 48 years old. I'm gonna recall the details as best as I can for you guys so you can have a picture of how I ended up in this predicament. But most of it was bad choices in men. Relationships didn't go the way it's supposed to go, and I'm not going to blame all of it on them. I have my own little issues as well, but yeah, this is how it goes. So we're going to start here. Okay, so I was raised in a strict household. Okay, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I had my mom and dad in the house. I have 3 brothers, 3 sisters. Okay, we were all raised up in a strict household. Street smarts, that's where I think me not being street smart contributed to how I ended up in this position. Jehovah's Witness is a very religious household. I'm not blaming my parents for anything. They did the best that they could do, just like I do the best that I could do. So I'm not mad at my parents about anything. I'm not going to talk bad about the religion because I don't have anything bad to say about it. I just didn't end up in being a Jehovah's Witness. I was, but I'm not anymore. Will I go back? I'm not sure, but I don't have anything bad to say. But I was raised in that a strict, structured household. I moved out when I was 19, working, going to school, working, and I had a roommate. And then when my sister got old enough, she wanted to get her apartment, so me and her got an apartment together. I met my first son's father, my oldest son's father, when I was like 23, and no, maybe 22. I'm not sure. It was so long ago, but it was back in 96, 97, something like that. 97. I met him in 97 out in the club. When you're young, you go out to the club, you're dancing, having a good time. Okay. But yes, I met him in 97 in the club. We started talking. I knew him. After we met, I was like, oh, do I know you? Our families do know each other. We all in the same community. He went to a different high school, but I knew I went to school with his sister a couple of years. Yeah, so we all knew each other. So I thought everything was to be all good, but obviously you can see that it ain't. Okay. Yeah, got pregnant, had my first son at 99. That relationship didn't turn out good. Okay. He was going through his thing and it just didn't work. I had to buckle down and raise him on my own. I could count on one hand how many times I got diapers from this man. Okay. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I think he wasn't ready. I don't think he was ready. A red flag I should have, after I thought about it, was when I met him, he did have a 3-month-old but she didn't live in Beaufort. She lived in Mississippi, I think, at the time. So yeah, after I think back, I should have thought about it then. Like, why? I know that he kept in touch with his daughter. He kept in touch when he could. He did what he could. I guess what he knew how to do, I don't know. It just didn't work. He was not there. Okay, I didn't get child support at all. Okay, I'm not. It's been so long ago. All I know is that I raised my son by myself. I raised him along with my second son. That relationship didn't work. I met my second son's father in 2000. In 2000 at the job. Was it back in 2000? Yeah, my son was 2, a year and a half, not even 2. But I got pregnant pretty fast with the second one. He was from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. Something new. I was like, okay, I don't know this person. He's not from the area. I was in South Carolina. He's new. We got into a relationship. And to this day, I don't even know what happened with that one. I don't. You know why? Because when I had my son, he was a premature baby. And I'm going to have separate stories about my babies, okay? Because that's a whole different subject. But he was premature. He was born 3 pounds. But he was only in hospital in the NICU for 2 weeks. He was healthy. He was breathing on his own. So they let me take him home after 2 weeks. When the only stipulation was I had to take him to the doctor every week to make sure he was gaining at least 2 ounces a week. So that was back in 2001. But yeah, after he was born, his dad signed the birth certificate, all that good stuff, you know, all that stuff that go on in the hospital. And he said he had a job opportunity in Columbia. I stayed in Beaufort because, you know, we didn't have a place in Columbia. But he moved to Columbia, and I never heard from him again. Never heard from him again. Couldn't get in touch with him. I called his phone. All that was shut off. I don't know if he got scared. I never had a discussion with him, but I don't have time. When you have kids, you don't have time to do that. My son was young. He was an infant. I had a 2-year-old and an infant, and I was done. You know, I'm a relationship person, and I know people outside looking in, when they see a person who have kids with different fathers, they just, oh, she's, you know, there's this persona, there's this thing where, oh, she's been out there. And the reason why I say that is because of the next step I'm going to get into. But I'm a relationship person. So my kid's father, they don't question if they're their dad or not. If you get what I'm saying. There's no, I have to go to Maury Povich or to some talk show or a paternity court or whatever to see who's the father. And they can attest to this. If they even see this video, they can attest to it. I'm not that type of person where I will put you in a position to question any of my actions. Okay? I was raised a certain way, and I present myself in that way I was raised. So I didn't have the street smarts to go out there, because everybody say they have this thing, and I know of people is in a situation just like mine. They just think that you've been out there, and I haven't been out there. I am not. Okay. I'm too scary. Okay. I'm scared to, you know, these days you can't do nothing. That's why I ain't in no relationship now. It's too much out there. It's too much diseases, and just everybody is going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I just can't risk that right now with me having a small one. But there I was, 2 small boys, no father. My second son's father, who disappeared, he came back to Beaufort, South Carolina. when my son was 2 years old. He didn't come knocking on my door. I was working at the same job and he popped up. He said, I want to see my son. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I told him the only stipulation is when you see him, don't tell him who you are, because I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're doing. I will never and have never not let their father see them. When they wanted to see them, I'm like, hey, I'm getting a break. You know what I'm saying? It was like that. So if they wanted to see him, it was like, okay. Whenever they contacted me and said, I'm coming to see them such and such, I never tell my kids that, because I knew what it was, if you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to tell my kids, oh, your daddy coming to get you, and then they don't come get him. So when he popped up, when my son was 2 years old, they went outside, played basketball. I always knew my son was going to play basketball since he was like 2 years old, obviously, because, you know, he was out there with the ball. He always wanted a ball, But it was that one day he came and played with him, and he left after a couple days, and I never saw him again. Why? I don't know. To this day, I don't know. He was nice to me. We never argued or anything like that. But that didn't work. I guess he got scared too. I don't have a chance to be scared, so I just had to raise my kids. So I raised both of them with no child support at all. I didn't have time to worry about stuff like that. All I knew is that I had to work. So I was always working 2 jobs. Thank goodness I had my sisters. We always found a way to watch each other's kids while we worked. And I did hit a time, because I wanted to go back to school. I did hit a time where I was on Section 8. I was on Section 8 for 3 years. Yes, 3 years. My son was born in 2001. No, 4 years. I was on Section 8 for 4 years. I met my ex-husband in 2005. We never had kids, but I was in a state of mind when I met him. If Kenny, if you watching this, you know I'm telling the truth. But when I met my ex-husband, he was trying to talk to me. He was just like, oh, you know, hollering, trying to holler. Yeah, he tried to holler. And I threw every excuse in the book. I was like, I got 2 kids, okay? I'm raising 2 kids by myself. You ain't got no kids. You don't want me out. You know, I'm just throwing every excuse. I wasn't looking for nobody. I wasn't looking for no one. So, yeah, that's what I did. I threw every excuse, and he was persistent. He did everything he could. He bought me lunch. He did all this stuff. And then we end up talking. We were talking for like 3 years. Then he asked me to marry him. I said, no, you ask my parents first, because I'm old school. He actually, the very next day, went to my parents' house and asked my mom and dad if they could marry me or whatever. And we ended up getting married. We moved to Atlanta. He was a great singer. He wanted to pursue his career in singing. He still, I hope he's still singing to this day, but he was a great singer. He wanted to pursue that. He did a couple songs. We moved to Atlanta. We got married in Atlanta. We did not have a wedding. We went to the courthouse. It was cheaper for us at the time to just go to the courthouse. The parents, everybody knew. His mom and his twin sister, his brother, my family knew. We got married. Lived in Atlanta for 2 years. We tried. I went to school while I was in Atlanta. He paid all the bills, you know, just the traditional thing. He paid all the bills. I only worked 2 days a week. My money went to buy little stuff like food and stuff like that. And he paid everything else. And unfortunately, our marriage didn't work. After 2 years, I had to leave because the situation wasn't good. He got into the wrong crowd. I don't want to say what happened, but it was no cheating or nothing like that, but it wasn't good. He got into the wrong crowd and started doing things that you just shouldn't be, that you just get caught up in doing. And I had to leave and get my kids out that situation. So I moved back to South Carolina, and I was depressed for a couple years. His sister actually had to help me out a couple times. I went into hard times. I worked. I didn't want to get back on Section 8 because that's another discussion for another day, but I wanted to make it on my own and be self-sufficient. So I never wanted to go back to that, so I didn't. So I worked. There were times where I didn't know about other like little things that you could do, but if you're a single parent, you understand. You're working and making sure all the bills are paid. Oh, I did go get food stamps though. I did go back to food stamps, but I didn't go back to Section 8. So I was paying regular rent, and I did get food stamps for 2 years, and I ended up finding a job where I got cut off, and I was back raising my kids on my own until I got a divorce. It took me 2 years to file the papers, and then I was divorced. And yeah, on my own, raising my kids on my own for a number of years. I had some health issues. I developed fibroids over time after having my second son. So I didn't have any kids with him or anything like that. So the divorce was pretty easy. I did have some health issues dealing with fibroids. If you're a woman, you know what that is. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I didn't just have one or two. I had multiple small ones. So I was consumed with them. And back then, they didn't know how to fix it. You have to, my hemoglobin was down and all kind of stuff. It was just horrible. And I went through that for years. And then I met my third son's his father in 2014. 60, 17, 2014. Yes, fall 2014, I met Sean. And my second son, when they get teenagers, it's a rough point. My oldest son was fine. He's the quiet one, good, all that. And then you got the one that's the wild child. So my second son was the wild child. He do the teenage things. They do the teenage things, got in trouble in school and stuff like that. And I was working, paying regular rent and all that. And I wanted to catch a hold on that. I wanted to, work hours where I would be home to make sure he was home. If he wanted to play basketball, I had to be the one to take him to practice and pick him up and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to get my household in order. That's what I meant to say. I wanted to get my household in order. So then I went to, when I met my third son's father, Sean, we started talking, went out on a couple of dates and stuff like that. Then we established a relationship. Then he offered for me to move in with him. I have never moved in with a man ever in my life. So that was a mental thing I had to get through. He offered. He said it'd be cheaper because he would pay the bills and whatnot, and I could save money and could concentrate on the boys and You know, he pretty much gave me the freedom to do whatever. And yeah, I moved in with him. And I ended up having my son with him in 2017. Now, I thought when I met Sean, I was like, okay. When I met him, I was like, okay, we getting married. Okay, we getting married. And I had a high guard. My wall was here. And he was able to take it all the way down, child. And I thought we was getting married, but no, girl. Child. Okay, so I'm home now. I had to get home because it was getting hot in the car. But anyway, I'm going to finish this story. Where did I leave off? You know, I made the decision to move in. We were in a good place, and we were working towards marriage and all that stuff. So I went on ahead and moved in. And everything was, you know, how it is. Like, I was married before. You know, things don't go good all the time. You know, you have your ways, he has his ways and all that stuff. But I ended up getting pregnant in 2016. His story is his story, but he had an older son as well. And he had a son and I had two. So, and our kids were around the same age. We were teenagers, okay? His son was the oldest though. But anyway, everything was going good. And you know how, let me tell y'all something about a female intuition. When you feel something is not right, you pretty much got to trust it. We are really good in that area. So I had some intuitions that things were not quite well, okay, in the relationship. It got scattered. We went through a bad time. And I had this feeling, but I never, one thing about me, let me tell y'all. One thing about me that I've noticed all my life is I don't need anybody to tell me anything that's going on in any relationship I was at. Whatever was supposed to happen will be revealed to me. So during our relationship of 5 years, I've had people tell me things and, you know, you question it and stuff, but you really don't. That's where my street smarts and my naiveness came in, and not really paying attention. But if I was paying attention, I probably could have caught it earlier. But of course, I had to be pregnant at the time when I found everything out, and I was 7 months. So when I found out everything, I was 7 months pregnant, going through a rough pregnancy. I was 42 years old. Didn't even know I could carry again because, you know, when I got pregnant, my sons were a senior in high school. One was about to be a senior in high school. One is a sophomore. They were almost out the door. I was about to be free. So this pregnancy was hard. I'll tell you about having a pregnancy at 42 in a different video, but it was rough. And finding out bad news at 7 months pregnant is not good either. And all that stuff came crumbling down when I was 7 months, 28 weeks. I was already having a hard pregnancy already. I wasn't even sure if he was going to make it because he wasn't growing. He wasn't gaining weight. He was small. Everything was on time, but his weight wasn't matching what it's supposed to match, okay? So, I end up having him. No, I found everything out 6 months pregnant, I think. 24 weeks, around that time, between 6 weeks, somewhere around there, 6 months pregnant, between 6 months, 7 months pregnant is when I found everything out. Because it caused me to get so stressed out. I ended up having him at 27 weeks. I had him at 27 weeks. He was 2 pounds and 12 ounces. He ended up being in the NICU for 2 months. when he came home, he was 6 pounds and 12 ounces. He was 6 pounds and 10 ounces or 12 ounces, one of those, when he was able to go home at 6 pounds. He took his first set of shots at the hospital because he was there 2 months. You know, when you're 2-month-old is when they get their first set of shots. So when he got his first set of shots, he got to come home that next week or whatever. But finding everything out and all the things that I found out in the relationship, I was already checked out mentally. So I was just there because where was I going with a C-section and a premature one and all that stuff? So I was like in his house, not wanting to be there mentally. I was checked out. That's just the truth. And I ended up moving out when my son was a year old. After he turned a year old, I moved out that next year. My son graduated high school, went to college, and my second son, he was about to graduate. When he was about to graduate, that's when I had got my own place. And I was out of that relationship. Haven't been in another relationship since. I've been single. Choose to be single. I do get approached for get asked out and stuff like that, but not doing it. But that's my story. That's how I ended up with 3 kids, 3 fathers. Not intentional. Like I said, I've always been a relationship person. My 3 kids came from relationships that I had, and I didn't went about it the right way, like how I was raised. But I just want people to know, when you see someone or if someone tells you that they don't have the kids don't have the same father, don't look at you. You don't know the story behind that or how it ended up being that way. So you don't want to look down on people like myself and other ones who ended up in situations where they didn't intend to end up. That's why I try not to judge nobody when they're in situations like that, because single parenting is not fun. It's not fun. It's hard, okay? Especially if you didn't intend to be in that position. Now, I must say, since I have my young one, he has an active father. Active. And I did a video about that. And we co-parent very, very well. And I am very, very appreciative. The relationship didn't work, but the parenting part is 100% on, okay? And I appreciate that. At my age, the appreciation is way up there, okay? But I just wanted to make this video so y'all can have like a background on my story. That's one of the stories I wanted to share about my beautiful family of 3 boys and myself. And y'all comment down below if y'all are in a particular situation, young ladies. I just wanted to put it out there. This video was made so that you will see someone who had the struggle to raise kids on your own. It's not it could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. For me, it ended up being a good thing. My 2 older ones, they do live on their own now. They have their own place. They live in Atlanta area, and I live in Florida. I see them when I can see them. We talk every single day. It's great, but it was a struggle. That's why when they graduated from high school, I celebrated. Me, because I did it, okay? So, and they did it. They did their schoolwork, they did. They did what they were supposed to do. But I that's why I have their diplomas. I have it. They have not. They will not get their diplomas until I'm ready to release it. At this time, I am in possession of 3 diplomas. Okay, 3. Mine. Well, no, I ain't even got mine. My mama got mine. My mama got my diploma. I asked for my diploma, and she gave me a copy. She gave me a copy. So my diploma is at my mom's house. She kept it. But I understand why. Well, no. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a mom thing, but yeah, my boys don't have this. I got all that. I just gave them their SSN cards, Social Security cards, only because they live on their own, and I suppose they need it with their driving license and stuff like that, so that, you know. But diplomas, no. Any kind of educational degrees and certificates and stuff, I get that. Me, I get it. But yeah, that's the story of having, well, how I ended up with 3 kids with 3 different fathers. If I could go back, would I do it in a different way? I could, but would I have my 3? I would not trade my 3 boys for nobody or anything. So I'm going through this for a reason, and I'm very appreciative. They are my heart. They everything. I do everything for them. Okay, but if I could do it a different way and still get my 3, I would do it in a better way. But I don't regret having them. And any mother would say that about their kids. Okay, so I'm very proud of mine. But thank you for listening to my story about how I ended up this way. And tune in for the next video, okay? Next story. I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, okay, guys? Bye.